From the station that's on your side, you're watching News 19 at 7.
Good evening, and thank you so much for joining us tonight for News 19 at 7. I'm Andrea Mock. A Lexington County couple got a big surprise in the delivery room. Their newest son came into the world at a record-breaking 14 pounds and 4 ounces. News 19's Lauren Thomas got a chance to meet the parents, who say he is a perfectly healthy baby boy.
I couldn't believe how big he was.
Cindy Richmond and Arthur Kiesler were in shock when they welcomed their third child, Colin Austin Kiesler.
He's a toddler at 3 days old.
Little Colin is not so little. He weighed 14 pounds 4 ounces when he was born. The average size of a newborn is 7 pounds 5 ounces.
I'm glad this is a C-section.
Doctors and nurses in the Lexington Medical Center's delivery room weighed him immediately when he was born and ran tests, making sure he was healthy.
You never know what's going to happen. It's always, when you feel like you've seen it all, something's going to come through and blow you away, but nothing like a 14-pounder.
Just to put this into perspective, baby Colin's weight is equivalent to the size of 2 7-pound babies, or 3.5 bags of sugar, or a seedless watermelon. Colin's weight was such a surprise that his clothes didn't even fit.
We actually had to send my mom to my house or to our house and pick up different sizes because I brought 0 to 3 and barely anything 3 to 6, and that's what he's wearing at this point.
The hospital also didn't have diapers to fit him. Richmond and Kiesler's first 2 children were 7 pounds 6 ounces and 9 pounds 8 ounces. Seeing Colin at 14 pounds 4 ounces at birth gives them high hopes for the future, maybe as a lineman on the field.
For both Clemson and for the Green Bay Packers, so crossing fingers.
As for words of wisdom for future mothers,
just go ahead and buy them bigger stuff because you never know what you're going to get.
In Lexington County, Lauren Thomas, News 19, WLTX.
Well, diabetes was a concern, but baby Colin and his mother are both completely healthy. The hospital says they haven't seen a baby this size since 1987, and the close second was 13 pounds and 12 ounces.
Now, the Midland's most accurate forecast with Chief Meteorologist Jim Gandy.
And today was a nice day around the area. We saw plenty of sunshine, and the low this morning was 72 degrees at both the airport and the city, and both locations warmed up to 88 degrees this afternoon. Right now, we're still mostly sunny, 87 degrees. Winds are from the north at 6 miles per hour. Tonight, skies will be becoming partly cloudy. It'll be pleasant with a low of 65. It'll be partly cloudy tomorrow with a high of 86. And tomorrow night, skies will be clearing with a low temperature of 62. I'll have more on the forecast coming up.
All right, Jim, thank you. Funeral arrangements are being finalized for a USC medical student who died in Peru. The body of 24-year-old Seth Thomas was recovered from the Andes Mountains. Authorities say that he died while hiking. The second-year medical student at USC was on a medical outreach trip to the area. The Irmo native died Friday afternoon while on a hike in the mountains. Thomas had been working with a Peruvian nonprofit to help improve women's health there. He was scheduled to come back home next week. Meanwhile, his family has thanked everybody for their support. They issued this statement. It says, Seth's love of God and his deep desire to help others and his wish to make the world a better place is how we would like him to be remembered. He would want everybody who was touched by his life to show compassion for one another and be at peace. Columbia police are looking for a driver that hit a person on a moped and then left the scene. It happened on Sunset Boulevard on Sunday afternoon. The moped driver suffered a broken ankle but has been released from the hospital. Police are not sure what kind of vehicle the person who hit the moped was driving, because as soon as they hit the moped, they took off. If you have any information or you think you saw this accident, please call Crime Stoppers. Do not forget, you can leave an anonymous tip. And Richland County deputies arrested a suspect in a murder on Fontaine Road. Deputies say 32-year-old Dennis Diamond shot and killed 25-year-old William Archie on Saturday morning at about 3 in the morning. They say Diamond is Archie. They were an acquaintance and they asked for a ride, and then they got into a fight with him. Archie later died at the hospital. Well, Columbia police are still investigating a shooting that happened early this morning at a hotel. This happened at a hotel on Garner's Ferry Road at the Baymont Inn on East Exchange Boulevard at about 4 in the morning. Police say a woman was sent to the hospital with serious injuries after being hit. Investigators continue to look into the incident, so if you have any information, again, please call 1-888-CRIME-SC. If you are heading out to enjoy some fun in the sun on our rivers, please be careful. That's the message coming from DNR and local officials, because 3 people have died on our rivers here in Columbia in just 2 weeks' time. 2 people drowned on the Saluda this past weekend, 1 person in the Congaree last Sunday. Rescue teams are now hammering home the idea that it only takes seconds for that current to sweep away any person, even if you're a good swimmer. The riverkeeper says that people should not underestimate the power of our rivers.
Don't ever try and stand up or walk in any fast-moving water that's above your shins. If you fall out of a tube or fall out of a boat, get on your back. Keep your nose and your toes in the air is what I always told people when I was a river guide. Get to a calm spot, an eddy, a nice flat, calm area. Then you can stand up or get to a rock and wait for help. But people trying to stand up in white water and fast-moving water is incredibly dangerous.
The riverkeeper says you should also keep your clothing in mind. Jeans and cotton material will weigh you down, making it harder for you to swim if you're in trouble. The State Mining Council held its appeals hearing today at DHEC. The council is appealing a claim against Vulcan Construction Materials and DHEC. According to the appeal hearing notice, the council is accusing Vulcan of not fulfilling regulatory requirements and a lack of transparency. The notice claims the company did not meet the standards of air and water quality, among other things. That hearing will run through Friday. Well, a huge investment and some new jobs are coming to the upstate BMW plant. The company announced that it will invest $600 million over the next 4 years, creating about 1,000 new jobs. The announcement was made at an event commemorating the BMW plant's 25th anniversary. Governor McMaster joined the company executives at the event to celebrate. He says the plant is key to the Palmetto State.
I could not be more proud of this company, more proud of the people of South Carolina, and more proud of the accomplishments and the progress that this company and these people have made than I am right now.
Well, since its opening, it has become the largest BMW plant in the world. How about that? South Carolina Senator James Clyburn has announced that he will propose new health care legislation. Clyburn, along with Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, announced plans to expand health care center funding. Community health center fund programs were created under the Affordable Care Act. Their legislation would also make the funding permanent. The plans were announced this afternoon on the floor of the Senate.
This is the key to connect health insurance coverage to actual health care.
Well, this legislation comes just days before the Senate Republicans will try to force a vote on their new health care bill. Ralph Norman is now officially the Palmetto State's newest representative in Congress. He was sworn in a short while ago. Norman won the special election last week to replace Mick Mulvaney by a thin margin against Archie Parnell. Norman was serving in the state's House Representatives, part of York County. Well, Columbia Mayor Steve Benjamin is moving up in the U.S. Conference of Mayors. He has been elected to vice president at the conference at their annual meeting in Miami. This means he will become the president of the group next May. Benjamin has promoted Q Resolution in the group to move and clean renewable energy. As president of the group, Benjamin will host the 2018 Leadership Conference right here in Columbia. The national championship USC Women's Basketball team will be adding a new face to the staff. Head coach Dawn Staley held a press conference with the new assistant coach Jolette Law. Law will be returning to her home state to coach. She's from Florence originally. They also talked about the team's trip to Japan that starts tomorrow. Coach Dawn Staley says she hopes the trip can be about more than just sports.
Make it more educational. The game is important. Just for learning, but I think most of all, giving our players an experience like no other, and this trip does that.
The team will play 3 games against the Japanese women's team in the land of the rising sun. The Columbia Fireflies and folks in Columbia had to say a little painful goodbye last night to that fella. Tim Tebow is now out of Columbia. The outfielder has been promoted to the Mets organization A team in St. Lucie, Florida. Tebow had an average of 222 with 3 home runs this year. Tebow will be returning to his home state of Florida for his next stop in professional baseball. And tonight, the Columbia TipOff Club is celebrating USC basketball team's success from this past season. It's running from 7 o'clock this evening until 9 at Colonial Life Arena. Coaches Don Staley and Frank Martin will both be honored at this big event. The Women's National Championship Trophy will also be on display, and the Men's Southeast Regional Trophy will also be there at the event. The event is free for club members, but it costs non-members $50 a ticket. All right, straight ahead tonight on News 19 WLTX at 7. Snapchat is obviously a huge hit with the kids, but now a new feature could cause problems. This is something parents need to know about. We've got the details coming up.